Why is it so controversial to talk about mentoring young men?
If you go into a morgue and there's 5 people who died by suicide, 4 are men. We have a homeless and an opiate problem, but what we really have is a male homeless and a male opiate problem. 3 times as likely to be addicted, 3 times likely to be homeless, 12 times to be incarcerated. Far-right really recognized the problem and started talking about needing to lift young men up. The problem is the remedy from the far-right. Their suggestion was that we return to the 50s where women and non-whites had less opportunity. That's not the answer. And they began conflating masculinity with coarseness and cruelty. At the same time, the left hasn't been that helpful because their advice when talking about the struggles of young men is to say, if you're only more in touch with your feelings, you don't have problems, you are the problem. I don't think that's helpful either. We can still address the problems facing women, but we can also recognize that young men are really struggling and that our country isn't going to continue to flourish and women aren't going to continue to ascend if men are flailing. The gag reflex is understandable. We've had a 3,000-year head start. When you started talking about men, there was a gag reflex from the left that, wait, you're one of those guys. Your discussion of men is thinly veiled misogyny. The answers are always going to be setting back the wonderful rights that we've acquired for non-whites and for women. So I get it, and effectively what's happening is young men are being held responsible for our
Don't be so typical. Putting my tap shoes on like eggshells when I dance around you. So work it out. Why be so difficult? I'm pouring salt around the center.
I'm not the birthday girl, I'm the birthday girl's friend. I'm not the birthday girl, I'm the birthday girl's cousin. I'm not the birthday girl, I'm the birthday girl's chef. I'm not the birthday girl, I'm the birthday girl's personal shopper. I'm not the birthday girl, I'm the birthday girl's lawyer. And I'm the birthday girl.
So here I am, 6:43 a.m. in the morning on a Sunday. And here I am making my YouTube money by putting in yet another installment about the Passport Bros. Every time I see a piece of Passport Bro news, got to talk about it. Man claims Passport Bros trend has ruined the image of the male solo travel. Now, first of all, this guy in this picture is not a Passport Bro, period. He's a white man. The Passport Bros are black men who travel abroad looking for women, wives, relationships. White men who do it are called Passport Joes, okay? So first of all, we just got to understand that. And as I've mentioned before, the reason why these white men are trying to get in on the Passport Bros moniker is simply because they're trying to juice their YouTube channels. They're trying to juice their vlogs, which nobody would be paying attention to otherwise. And the simple reality is, if you really believed that being a quote-unquote passport bro, if you really believed that that was ruining the image of a male traveler, then why would you link yourself to the Passport Bros? You see, this is the reason why we have to make these distinctions. Because a lot of these dudes, they go overseas, they get themselves into trouble, they do stupid shit. Like they go to North Korea and try to steal flags. And next thing you know, they get locked up and everything. You don't ever see them again. Or they do stupid things like they bring like bags filled with sexual toys and the airport catches them and everything. And, you know, it just makes everybody look bad. Male travelers in general look pretty bad. Because you got to understand, the Passport Bros, first of all, these are black men who are doing this. And this is a relatively new thing because liberal white feminism in America has ruined black women as much as it's ruined white women. So now, unlike before, you've got more and more black men who are getting their passports. They're going overseas and they're finding relationships with other types of women. But they wouldn't be doing that if the women right here in America hadn't been ruined. Now, there's a guy named Scott Galloway, I believe his name is, and I'm definitely including clips from this guy.
45% of men 18 to 25 have never approached a woman in person?
Never asked a woman out in person, and what they're up against, think about it, Our economy literally rests on 10 companies now, often referred to as the Magnificent 10. And they do several things, but quite frankly, they're in the business of enragement, polarization, and then sequestering young people from all other activities.
And that's only getting worse given where AI is going. I mean, with like, agents and chatbots who are, sexually clad anime type figures chatting with young men.
Well, it starts pretty innocent. When you use AI, have you noticed the prompts that are almost irresistible at the end? Let me put this in a series of tweets. Right. And before you know it, you're 3 hours deep. Right. But effectively, these companies have attached the entire economy and literally trillions of dollars to trying to get people to, or trying to convince young people, specifically young men who are more susceptible, because quite frankly, their prefrontal cortices isn't as developed, to try and convince them they can have a reasonable facsimile of life online. Why go through the hierarchy of trying to make friends? It's not easy, right? Why try to figure out how to navigate a corporate, all this, when you can go on Reddit or Discord and find friends, or you can trade crypto or stocks on Robinhood or Coinbase? And why, Anderson, would you go through the rejection, the dressing well, the effort, the expense, the humiliation, developing a kindness practice of trying to establish a romantic partnership when you have literally lifelike synthetic porn? So what are we doing? I think we have our economy is attached to one objective, and that is to evolve a new species of asocial, asexual males. Unintentionally, we have an economic interest right now, I would argue, in planning our own extinction.
And right now, he's busy talking about the quote-unquote male loneliness epidemic. And he's busy talking about what's quote-unquote wrong with boys in American society. So just like any other liberal PhD with his head up his ass, these people feel that the only people who are educated enough or who are learned enough to speak about these things have to have, high-level education credentials. They think that you got to sit down and you got to do a study for years and everything, and you got to analyze data. Let me tell you something. You don't need to do all that. The simple fact of the matter is, it's very, very easy to see the reason why young men are so screwed up right now. First of all, I am a millennial. So just, some people try to throw the term boomer at me because I sound like an old man. But the thing about it is I was born in 81. I'm a millennial. That's number one. So I got to get that out of the way right away so nobody tries to call me a boomer. But anyway, I'm a millennial. I grew up with masculinity. There was no such thing as toxic masculinity. We had Arnold Schwarzenegger. We had Stallone. We had basically Carl Weathers. We had the whole cast of Predator. We had Jesse Ventura. We had Wesley Snipes as Blade. We had Wesley Snipes in Passenger 51. It was pretty much understood what masculinity meant. Masculinity meant that you're supposed to be the hero. You're supposed to be the gun-toting hero that comes into town and takes out Black Bart or Texas Red. That's what it was. It was like men were supposed to be the heroes. Back then, young men worshipped, the police. They played cops and robbers. And then slowly but surely, social media, movies in general, because I love Hollywood movies, obviously. I'm a buff. But the thing about it is slowly they ate away at all of that. Slowly but surely, playing cops and robbers became Counter-Strike as a video game, where now you could basically choose whether to be a cop or a terrorist. Pretty soon, it evolved into Training Day, where now the cops are bad guys. Pretty soon, being a man in general evolved in the media, social media. It evolved from being the hero into being a bad guy. Hopefully you can follow what I'm saying. But the simple fact is, look what they've done to the image of men. Like, I just saw this new Predator movie. So here you got the Predator, who's a quote-unquote runt, and he teams up with a white woman who's basically a robot, cyborg, android, gynoid. Gynoid would probably be the perfect word because that's a female android. But anyway, he teams up with a white woman to kill his father, basically, because he had to go to this other planet. He had to capture some alien species as a trophy and then bring it back. But ultimately, he teams up with this white woman to go and kill his father. You know what I see in that movie? I see white liberal feminism teaming up with a noble savage in order to destroy the patriarchy. That's what I see. Now, you can say whatever you want. I don't know. Most of you might not even seen that movie. But what I'm saying is they've been sending so many subliminal messages to us for so long that I think a lot of these kids got their minds all fucked up. And look at society in general. You've got the repo man is waiting to take these people's cars back because they can't afford to pay for them. Why? A lot of these people have been laid off. A lot of these, mostly, I would say that this recent wave of layoffs and firings has mostly been women. Because ever since the pandemic, ever since COVID, women have been on the retreat. Simply because during COVID, these offices shut down. So here where you got these women walking around like it's like fucking Sex in the City and they're Ally McBeal and shit. You got these women who had all these cushy, soft office jobs. And now all of that has gone in the opposite direction simply because, first of all, COVID closed those offices. And then on top of that, you had AI who suddenly sprang up thanks to NVIDIA and Microsoft and Google and Amazon and all the other stocks I invest in. And AI is taking their jobs away. Mid-level management jobs are disappearing. People who normally would have these cushy office jobs, telemarketers, receptionists, AI is taking their jobs. Now, men who are smart enough to get into the trades, they typically do dangerous, difficult, and dirty jobs. Things that you don't have to worry about robots, things that you don't have to worry about AI taking over. So there are some men who are well off, but the problem is that the women have been trained by these schools to look down on those men. And ultimately, all of that leads to the fact that more and more of these young men are now waking up, getting their passports, and they're going overseas. And they're looking for women to be wives. They're not looking for women to be girlfriends. They're not looking for women to be baby daddies. They're looking for wives. And that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. So, what is this? It says, man claims passport bros trend ruined the image of the male solo traveler. So first of all, let's understand these terms. Passport bros are black males who are traveling overseas looking for wives. Men who do it who are white, those are the passport joes. Now, some of these women tried to paint passport bros and passport joes in general as traffickers, and they try to paint you as evil people and this, that, and other because you're going overseas and you're getting better women. But anyway, that's not us. Those are the transport bros. Now, they call those the transport bros because they transport hoes. We've got nothing to do with them. That's a crime. That's something we're totally against. Now, there are a lot of well-known transport bros out there, but we have nothing to do with that, so I'm not even going to talk about that. But the bottom line is, these men are traveling over there. They're not looking for no fucking museums. They're not trying to find out about nobody's culture. They're not doing that. Listen, unless you're getting paid to be an archaeologist, chances are you're not. They're not going over there for no cultural diversity. They're looking for wives. That's the bottom line. So let's look at this story real quick. It says traveling overseas to find a romantic partner. See, this is what I'm talking about. He ain't over there he's not going over there to see no damn pyramid. You know, in all my life, I've never been to Egypt. Like, I've had friends that gone to Egypt. I could give a goddamn about the pyramids. I ain't going over there looking for that. I'm looking for Egyptian women. What are you talking about? But anyway, traveling overseas to find a romantic partner is nothing new. But in recent years, the trend of passport bros, a black man, usually from the U.S., who chooses to travel or relocate abroad, has dominated social media. Why? Because, see, the problem is what passport bros ultimately represent is American men abandoning American women. That's what it represents. So now you've got a situation where you've got American fathers who want husbands for their daughters, but can't find any decent husbands for their daughters simply because the men are leaving. So you've got American women who can't find decent husbands. And when I say decent, I'm talking about men who are 6 feet tall, have six-figure salaries, and supposedly, according to women, they have to have a 6-inch pecker and they have to have a 6-pack of abs. And the reality is 6, 6, and 6, those are the numbers of the beast. That's like satanic shit right there. You know, so if these women are basically saying, oh, yeah, well, you have to be a 6, 6, 6, it's like, wait a minute. Isn't that like satanic? Like that, that's the number of the beast right there. But anyway, they don't care about none of that. That's what they say. So the bottom line is, these men, because they don't want to deal with these women at all, you got people like Scott Galloway complaining, they're home playing video games and they watching porno. It's like, yeah, that's what they're doing. But you know what they're not doing? They're not getting in trouble with women. They're not, having the allegations put on them. Oh, yeah, he looked at me at the gym. So you got these women wearing these tight-ass Gymshark spandex and shit. So here I am. You go to the gym, and you're trying to sit at the weight bench. You're trying to work out, right? So what do? They come right in front of you, set up a camera, and then they're doing these low-impact aerobics so that they can put their ass on, advertise their ass on TikTok. That's all they do. Like, my thing is, why the fuck are you in front? Like, I'm trying to bench press over here. I'm doing 350 pounds on this thing. I'm trying to concentrate. Why the fuck do you have a girl with pink Gymshark shorts on, and she's right in front of you doing, like, bullshit aerobic? Like, you're doing aerobics, and you're in the weightlifting section of the gym. You're supposed to be over there. Why are you here? And then the second they catch you staring at that ass, now they're going to go and they're going to complain to management or something. And next thing you know, you're getting taken out in cuffs. Young men don't want to deal with that shit no more. So Scott Galloway, listen, I was listening to you. I tried to give you a chance. You're full of shit. I don't care what your surveys show. Young men don't want to deal with that bullshit. So Scott Galloway's like, oh, yeah, well, these young men, when they're masculine, they dress better, they have better hygiene, they smell better and all that. Well, maybe they ain't worried about all that. Maybe because they're sitting at home playing their video games, maybe because they're playing Black Ops 7 Call of Duty, and maybe because they play in Battlefield 6. It's like maybe they sitting at home waiting for Grand Theft Auto 6, and they're not worried about what these women are doing. Maybe, did you ever consider that, Scott Galloway? No, I don't think you did, because you're old. You're a boomer. But anyway, where was I? It says, but in recent years, the trend of passport bros, a black man, usually from America, has dominated social media because they've been trying to make you out to be a bad guy. Why are they trying to make you out to be a bad guy? Well, look what you're doing. Those passport bros have money. You don't get to travel to other countries if you ain't got money. I'm counting down the days. I got less than 230 days. I'm going to Vietnam and Cambodia for 2 months. It's like, you can't do shit like that if you ain't got money. Like, it's obvious. You can't be like me flying business class on Japan Airlines or ANA or Emirates. You can't do shit like that unless you've got money.
White girls need lube, Asian girls need towels. I'm not exaggerating. We literally flood. Your ex needed assistance, we need flood insurance.
Let me tell you something. I am going to bring you fabulous, fantastic flight experiences, and the YouTube viewers are going to pay for it.
Flags of dating an Asian. Once we choose you, it's forever. We prefer backdoor to stay virgin, and we'll overfeed you with our tight sushi list.
The passport bros are men who, through high school, they focused on their work. They made it into good careers. Some of them chose cybersecurity. Some of them chose data management or whatever. And the thing about it is those jobs may require them to go abroad to another country. Those jobs may require them to travel a lot. Guess what? Jobs like that pay very well. We're not talking about men making $50,000 or $60,000. We're talking about men who are basically making a minimum of $100,000. Now, those men probably made about $80,000 maybe about 5 years ago, but they've pretty much gotten salary bumps. They're either making $100,000 or better. They're $120,000, $150,000. Some of them are making $200,000. Some of them will tell you that with most of those jobs, they start you above $200,000. And that's simply because there's so much that goes into those jobs, and you have to be on call 24/7 in some cases. So the reality is these women are pissed off that these men who they normally wouldn't have talked to because they were busy chasing criminals and they were busy chasing dudes who were party animals but didn't have their heads in their books. They're mad that the passport bros are taking their resources and we're going finding these young, beautiful foreign wives and we're uplifting those girls. I'm talking about girls who can't even afford makeup. I'm talking about girls who they can't even afford to do their hair. They wash their hair in the gutter. Like they're literally sitting at the edge of the road with a bucket and they got like some soap and they're literally washing their hair in the damn gutter. But guess what you get? You get this thick, silky black hair that for the most part, you don't find any like lice in it because they do a pretty good job washing their hair, right? We're talking about poor, young, beautiful women, right? And these women are pissed off that we're taking resources that normally would have gone to them and we're affording the uplifting of these poor foreign women. So they're pissed off about that. Of course they're going to be pissed off about that. But guess what? You could do that. Like, you're free to do that. There's nothing illegal about it. We have passports for a reason. That makes our travel is legal. And then if you decide to get a marriage license, that's legal too. So these women are pissed off that you're taking your resources and you're uplifting these other women beyond them. Meanwhile, they're sitting back, aging, getting older. I'll say it like this. You have to think about women as if they're gumball machines. And you know how you go into like Key Food or Pathmark, they got those gumball machines and, you put 25 cents in, you turn the handle and a gumball drops out. Yeah, well, that's basically what the women are. And eventually those gumballs run out. You see, men are different. They've been trying their best to say that the problem with the children is that the men are old and the sperm is old and this, that, and other. First of all, nature made it so that men can reproduce up until they die of old age. Older men have been reproducing with young women since the dawn of time. This whole new thing about women waiting until they're in their late 30s and 40s to have children, that's new. Donald Trump could stand up there and try to pronounce acetaminophen and try to claim that Tylenol is the reason why these kids are autistic. They will say anything that they can say to avoid pointing the finger of accountability at these women.
Don't take Tylenol. There's no downside. Don't take it. You'll be uncomfortable. It won't be as easy, maybe, but don't take it. If you're pregnant, don't take Tylenol. And don't give it to the baby after the baby is born. That there are certain groups of people that don't take vaccines and don't take any pills that have no autism. That have no autism. Does that tell you something? That's currently, is that a correct statement, by the way?
There are some studies that suggest that, with the Amish, for example.
The Amish. Effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of let's see how we say that. acetaminophen. Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol, during pregnancy can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary. I also, and we've already done this, we want no mercury in the vaccine. We want no aluminum in the vaccine. The MMR, I think, should be taken separately. This is based on what I feel, the mumps, measles, and all the three should be taken separately. And it seems to be that when you mix them, there could be a problem. So there's no downside in taking them separately.
No, it ain't got nothing to do with a fucking Tylenol. There's people out there who can't afford Tylenol. It's because the women are waiting until they're old to have children. Now, if you want to say it's because the men and women at the same age aren't reproducing in their 20s, okay, fine. But the bottom line is, the reason why you're seeing the rise of autism ain't got nothing to do with no fucking Tylenol. It ain't got nothing to do with I shouldn't say lead, mercury and fillings in your teeth. It ain't got nothing to do with that. No. It's because these women are waiting until they're old to have children. That's the bottom line. And they'll never say it. You'll never hear them do a study. I've called into some of these stupid-ass radio shows with these people talking bullshit every day. And when you address that, when you try to bring it up, they try to shut you down like immediately. Oh, yeah, well, where are your statistics? I don't have any. You know why? I made it the fuck up simply because they'll never do a study like that. They'll never do it. And even if they did come back with conclusive proof, you'll never hear it. Why? Because they refuse to point the finger of accountability. So, again, these young men, you don't need all them studies and shit. These young men have said, fuck this, I'm not going to deal with this. It's like that movie War Games taught us. They said, war, it's a strange game. The only way to win is not to play. So what did they do? They took their ball and they left the court. And now society in America is suffering because of it. Because it turns out that keeping these young men in line was the only way to keep this society afloat. And now the young men have said, fuck this, I'm taking my ball and I'm leaving. Screw you guys, I'm going home. That's what it came down to. So now they're trying to figure out, well, how do we bring them back? I don't think you can. I really don't think you can. You see, once you enter the event horizon of a black hole, all paths forward point towards its center. There is no escape. Once you get past that event horizon, it's just a long slide right into the center of the black hole. You're done. You can't get out. There's no escape. America is $38 trillion in debt. By the time Trump's presidency is over, we'll probably be about $45 trillion in debt. Like considering, we're raising $1 trillion like every 6 months. He has what? Another 3 years to go? Yeah, chances are we'll be $45 trillion in debt. And that's assuming we're not $47 trillion in debt. 45, 47, those are the numbers of his presidencies. But with $38 trillion in debt, the Federal Reserve cannot lower interest rates. Trump is trying to force them to lower interest rates. If he does lower interest rates, it's going to destroy the housing market even more. It's gotten so bad, Trump's talking about 50-year mortgages. And you know what I have to say? You have to realize the 50-year mortgage is based on the belief that you're going to marry in your 20s, that you're going to stay married until your 50s, that you're going to retire, and that by that time the house will be paid off and it'll be an asset rather than a liability. They expect that either you're going to leave and move to something smaller and something less expensive, like a garden apartment or a condo, and that you'll leave that house to your kids. That's the way they had set this up. But guess what? If you've got women who are waiting until they're in their late 30s and late 40s to start a family because they're so busy going to some man's school. The school industrial complex, I call it. Well, guess what? If you're starting in your late 30s or 40s, 50-year mortgages, you would be 90 fucking years old by the time your house is paid off. Even with a 30-year-old mortgage, you'd be 60 or 70 before your shit is paid off. That's where your real problem lies. It's not with what they've done to men. It's what they've done to women. So Scott Galloway, listen, I know you've taken all these surveys. I know you were standing around getting these young boys to lie to you and shit on paper. Bottom line is, it's like all that's really cute, but your problem lies elsewhere, and you're not willing to say it. Well, you know what Scott Galloway was saying? He said when young men don't have relationships, they pour their energy into conspiracy theories, basically racist narratives on the internet, sexist narratives on the internet. He's talking about Andrew Tate and Nick Fuentes, basically, because Nick Fuentes is a racist. Andrew Tate is a sexist. No matter how you slice it, that's what they are. And Scott Galloway's like, oh, yeah, well, when the young men don't have wives and shit, they go and they pour their energy into all these narratives online, and they pour it into screen time, and the internet is designed to keep their eyes on the screen as long as possible. Yeah, all that very well might be true, but my thing is, what you didn't do is you didn't say why. And what your why is you're saying that it's because young men are being broken. I would argue young women are being broken. And that in and of itself is breaking the young men. Because first of all, you know how they always start that bullshit? They're like, oh yeah, well, women are a child's first teacher. But then you've got these women and they're talking and making fun of men and say, oh yeah, well, they can't even read by the time they're 10 and they're dropping out of school and everything. Well, guess what? If you're the child's first teacher, then no wonder why these young men are fucked up. It's because the women are broken. So Scott Galloway, listen, I'm in bed. I got my iPhone. I'm talking to my iPhone, making a video. And you can point a finger at me. You can be like, oh, well, you haven't done research and you don't have a PhD and all that shit. I'm going to say I don't need one. And number two, you're wrong. The problem is that the women are broken and that they won't point fingers at the women. They point fingers at the men because they're the easy targets. So, long story short, these men have said, you know what, fuck this. We're going to get our passports. We're going overseas. And we're going to have a good time overseas. We're going to get wives from overseas. We're going to get young, beautiful wives. They're not going to be old. They're not going to be gumball machines without the gumballs. That's what it is. They have done everything they could to suppress that message. Now, what's funny to me, and I'm going to mention this right before I go back to the story, Andrew Tate, if you look at how they've done their best to crush Andrew Tate. Now, I don't agree with everything he says at all. That guy's an asshole. I'll say it like this. He's a bit of an asshole. The problem is he makes decent points in some cases. And they've done everything they could to shut him up because he went after women. He pointed the finger at the women. They've done everything they could to shut him down. Now, these racists like Nick Fuentes, because I'm not going to call him a white nationalist. He's a racist. That's what he is. They hate that word racism because when you point that finger at them, it's so hard for them to get around it. But that's what he is. He's a racist. So Nick Fuentes, he would say the exact same things that Andrew Tate is saying in some cases, especially when it comes to pointing fingers at women. The problem is he's also pointing his fingers at minorities too. But it wasn't until he started with the anti-Semitism that he got deplatformed and shut down. Charlie Kirk was a racist too. Charlie Kirk pointed his finger at the minorities. Nobody had a problem with it. Charlie Kirk was literally setting up fucking tents and going around talking shit. Nobody had a problem with it. Oh, yeah, well, statistics show that 49% of black males do this and that. Yeah, nobody had a problem with any of that shit. Second, Charlie Kirk decided to start talking about what was it? What was happening over there in Gaza and what Israel doing? All of a sudden, Charlie Kirk had a hole in his neck, and he's gushing, like gushers, fruit gushers. You ever had a fruit gusher? It's one of them candy snacks, and you bite into it, and it pops in your mouth, and it releases all of this fruity flavor goodness. Yeah, well, that was Charlie Kirk. So anyway, back to the story. It says, but now man has claimed that passport bros have ruined the image of the male soul traveler. So guess what, jackass? If you think that passport bros have ruined your image, then I guess you don't have to worry about being called a passport bro. In fact, you shouldn't talk about passport bros at all. What you should do is just travel and keep your mouth shut. But see, that's not what you want. You're trying to use the passport bros moniker in order to boost up your whack ass vlog that nobody cares about. But it backfired on you because now if people think that that's what you're going overseas for, now they're looking at you with some level of scrutiny. Now, see, me, when I travel, I ain't worried about that. I already know what I'm going overseas for. But you're worried about it because you know what they say? They say a guilty conscience needs no accuser. They also say that hit dogs holler. So if you do see this video, yeah, I'll be expecting your reply because that's happened before. I've gotten people who've seen these videos. They know I'm talking about them. And I've gotten replies from them. And yeah, I'll be expecting your reply. But the bottom line is, you're not a passport bro anyway, as far as I'm concerned. You're not a passport bro, so you shouldn't be worried about what the passport bro's doing. So anyway, he shared his views on Reddit. And now, by the way, it says his account is at too many inquiries, so I'm pretty sure that somebody is going to share with him the fact that I'm talking about him on this video. I don't give a fuck. I've been on Reddit before. Reddit is bullshit. I don't use it. I've been kicked off of Reddit numerous times. Because when I go on there and I start talking real shit, that's when all of a sudden they kick me off. So you know what? I don't even bother. I got kicked off of Facebook too. They had disabled my account. Sure enough, I didn't even bother trying to make a new account. Sure enough, it was about 3 or 4 weeks later, my account came back online just like that. And I couldn't even figure out why, because the way Facebook does it, when they ban you or block you, they don't even tell you why you got banned or blocked. I posted some things, all of a sudden, account disabled. And then all of a sudden, account re-enabled. Like I didn't even challenge it. I didn't even bother. But anyway, I'm back online. Reddit is some bullshit. I don't use Reddit. I could give a damn about Reddit. Reddit is them shit talkers on the internet, and they're talking shit in their little circles. Let them have it. I don't care. I have better things to do, like counting fucking money. So anyway, he wrote, I planned a trip to Colombia. See, I can't even stop these dudes from going to Colombia because they're looking for those big bubble butt Colombian women and then bubble butt Brazilian women. I know a Colombian chick. Let me tell you something. Them hips is so wide. It's just unbelievable. And she's got the hourglass shape. She's like an hourglass. I can't post her here. I can't do it. Hourglass shape. Them hips is wide. And I'm talking about them childbearing hips that you read about in biology class. I'm talking about them childbearing hips that you heard Charles Darwin said, you see this right here? This right here is natural selection. That's what I'm talking about. But anyway, I can't stop these dudes from going down there. I myself don't deal with South America because they've got too much drugging of foreign tourists and shit and stealing their money, and they got scopolamine and all this.
What if a plant could erase your will, and no one could prove it happened? In Colombia, they call it devil's breath. It's made from the seeds of nightshade flowers, the kind that grow wild beside city walls. The chemical inside? Scopolamine. In medicine, it treats nausea. In the wrong hands, it wipes minds. Some say it's slipped into drinks. Others believe it's blown in your face. And while not all of that is proven, the effects are: victims withdraw money, hand over passports, lead strangers to their homes. They seem calm, even helpful. But later, they remember nothing. Scopolamine blocks the brain's ability to form new memories. You're not unconscious. You're just erased. Reports say it's been used in tens of thousands of crimes across South America. And now, Sightings are rising in Europe and the US. It's not magic. It's chemistry. It's terrifying. And it leaves no trace behind. One breath, and you might never know what you gave away. Think you'd be immune?
I prefer to go to countries. They still got beautiful women, but the thing about it is they have extremely draconian drug policies. If they catch you trying to drug a tourist in Thailand or in Cambodia or Vietnam, they're going to execute you. Because over there, they have an anti-drug policy where they don't play around. Like, they will execute you over there. I don't have a problem with that because I don't do drugs. I don't peddle drugs. I don't carry drugs. I don't try to transport drugs. I don't try to sell drugs. I've got nothing to do with drugs at all. So some of these dudes, they go to these countries, they think they can play games over there. They think they can take all the stuff over there. They can traffic and shit. Nope. Over there, let me tell you something. Like, I love talking about the death penalty in these other countries. In fact, I was having this conversation with one of my uncles yesterday, and he used to be law enforcement. And we were looking at some story. I can't remember exactly the story. It'll come back to me. And I was like, yeah, well, this is the reason I'm pro-death penalty. He was like, oh, well, I think the death penalty has its case, but I think they use it asymmetrically or wrong. I was like, nah, I'm pro-death penalty. You know, when we catch you on camera and we catch you doing something like committing a crime and everything, you should be executed. And I've already shared my thoughts about my book. See, Trump, the thing that I don't like about Trump is a lot of the ideas that I've come up with, I feel like he's stealing them from me. He hasn't come up with two of the ideas that I've thought of. Number one, we should have a prison in Antarctica. If we have a prison in Antarctica, right, and we take these people there, it'll be just like Star Trek 6, where what we do is we put them underground and we have them dig tunnels to make the prison bigger. And if they buck back at you or if they disobey, you just put them on the surface, they freeze to death. The thing about it is they won't do it because the polar bears and the penguins will get them. My thing is, if we did that, it would revolutionize prison. I also had a second idea, and Trump will probably steal this too, because he steals all my ideas. I don't know how he does it. What was my idea? Oh, yes. My idea, and now listen, don't tell him because he'll steal my idea. My idea is that we take away Miranda rights. You know how the rights when you get arrested is like you are under arrest. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have a right to an attorney. That's where I'd stop it. I'd be like, no. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, you'll be forced to take out a loan for an attorney. Why should we be giving these people free attorneys? That's my thought. Now, I know, see, you know that this is all me because you know you haven't heard nobody else say this shit. Why should we be giving people free attorneys? Do you know how much money we could save by not giving people free attorneys? My thing is, maybe people would think twice about committing crimes if they had to take out a loan to get an attorney. Maybe instead, we shouldn't give them public defenders. No. And keep in mind, all you have to do is rewrite the law. If you cannot afford an attorney, you'll be allowed to take out a loan or use a credit card to afford an attorney. Why the fuck should we be giving these people free attorneys? Especially these people who claim that they're poor and they're driving around in fucking BMWs and Mercedes. Let me tell you a little story before I get back to this. I had a friend and he got caught driving drunk. He got caught DUI, DWI, whatever it was, right? So I go to court with him that day. And, the problem with our job was if you make a lot of money and you make it too quickly, like you work on commission, because we were doing refinances, mortgages, selling houses. So anyway, the problem is if you make too much money, sometimes you feel grander than you actually are. Because the bottom line is you're right now in court facing a judge because you're fucking DUI, DWI. So anyway, it comes to the point where they're about to give him a court-appointed defendant. A court-appointed defender. He was the defendant. And the woman starts reading his case file in front of us. And I right away sensed that she didn't want to take the case. I sensed it. And she asked this asshole, how much do you make a year? Now, the problem, and I'll be perfectly honest, if you're a man, chances are you're going to lie about the amount of money you make per year, unless it's public knowledge and everybody actually knows how much you make a year. But men lie about their finances. Men lie about their finances. Don't ask a man how much he makes because he's going to lie about it. But anyway, I sensed that she didn't want to take the case. She got to the point where she asked him, oh, what's your income? Now, the way we were working, your income was mostly commission-based at that time because we're working for, in banking and this, that, and other. So anyway, it was commission-based. I tried to get him to downplay how much money he made. This asshole decided, oh, no, I make like $90,000 a year and this, that, and other. And I was like, oh, you stupid asshole. As soon as she heard that, she said, oh, well, you're going to have to get your own lawyer. And I knew what was coming because I was like, wait a minute. These people defend poor people. They don't defend people like us. Because you got to understand, we were making 100,000 plus back in 2008, before six-figure salaries, before everybody started talking about that shit on TikTok. So anyway, I tried to downplay it. I was like, no. We work on commission and we don't always make that much money. But he's up there and he overtalks me. And he's like, no, I make over 100 and this thousand. So she looks at his file and she was like, oh, no, you're going to need your own attorney. You're going to have to actually get an attorney. You're going to have to pay for one because I'm a public defender. I defend people basically below the poverty line. She looked at his file and she was like, wait a minute. You're driving a brand new, this car is $50,000. You're driving a brand new this kind of car. I'm not going to say the kind of car because, that's private. I don't want to dox the person to any extent. But anyway, she refused to take the case. And she was like, yeah, I only defend poor people. So here's my thing. Why are we defending these poor people? They claim they broke. They claim they're poor. They're driving around in fucking used BMWs and used Mercedes and used Audis. Why are we paying money for that? Now, Trump always be stealing my ideas because, to tell you the truth, this whole thing about sending the military into these cities to deal with crime, that was my idea. You got to understand, I grew up in the 80s. I watched a lot of these sci-fi movies, and my mind is based on that. And I'm not going to change most of my beliefs. But as far as I'm concerned, Trump is stealing my ideas. And my thing is, maybe we should do that. Maybe we should rewrite the Miranda laws. So we say, yeah, if you cannot afford an attorney, you'll be allowed to use a credit card or take out a loan in order to get an attorney. Why should the public have to pay for that? We shouldn't have to pay for that shit. Because chances are you're a criminal and you're a repeat offender. Why should we have to pay for that? I would rather spend my money on the tail fin of a cruise missile than to have to defend your ass in court. That's also part of the reason I'm pro-death penalty. If you get more than 30 years in prison, why are we bothering to keep you alive? That doesn't make any sense. These people getting these life sentences for mass murder, 100 years, 2 or 3 life sentences. Why are you keeping these people alive? Why? It doesn't make any sense. If you vote for me, I'll knock that $38 trillion in debt down real quick. Real quick. Because I will find ways to reappropriate the money properly in a way that the taxpayer would be proud. So anyway, let me get back to the story because I've deviated way too much. Okay. No, I would probably still have been okay. Oh, well, no, let me go back. It says he wrote, I planned a trip to Colombia in December a few months ago, and due to recent events and advice from some of my friends, changed it due to safety concerns and reasons. Yeah, the reason why is because them Colombian women would have drugged your ass, and you would have woke up naked, stabbed, and your wallet would be missing, and your passport would be missing too. No, I would probably still have been okay going, but it was stressful for my parents. Your parents? So I decided to go to Peru instead. So you mean to tell me your parents thought Peru is safer than Colombia? As far as I'm concerned, that entire continent is a narco-terrorist state. The entire place. Why? Because I grew up during the 80s with the Reagan era, so pretty much that's how I feel about them. Did you ever see that movie with Harrison Ford, Clear and Present Danger, where the American president declares war on the drug cartels? Did you ever see that movie? Really good movie. Loved it. Kind of reminds you of what's going on right now with Venezuela, doesn't it? The American president declares that Venezuela is a clear and present threat to America and national security and all that bullshit. Yeah. So what they end up doing is they send an F-18 to bomb the drug dealer's house. And that was a beautiful scene. Like, you have this F-18, the F-18 takes off and it flies over the drug dealer's house and it drops a joint direct attack munition, a JDAM bomb, right on his house. Now, I think they made up this laser-guided bomb that was made of encased cellulose. They made that up because I don't think that really exists. But with this government, who knows? So, I think that was really, really foretelling. It's like, you know what? If we had a president crazy enough, they would actually declare war on drug dealers and start bombing them indiscriminately using the best that the Air Force has to offer. This is what I'm saying. I think Trump is stealing my ideas. And a lot of my ideas came from 1980s sci-fi movies. So, this is where we're going with this. But anyway, it says, however, one other factor that did play a role was the reaction I got when I would say I am a solo traveling in Colombia for a month. Well, obviously, you're looking for butt. You're looking for them booties. You're looking for them big bubble butt Colombians. That's what you're looking for. Who's this? It says, in recent years, the trend of passport bros, a black man, usually from America, who chooses to travel or relocate abroad in search of a better lifestyle or a love interest, has dominated social media. Now they show this dude right here. Now, I can't tell from the back, but I'm thinking, I don't think this is a black guy. See, he's not a passport bro. He's a passport Joe. So anyway, he added, I have been on 2 dates where I've mentioned this trip to them and how I wanted to learn Spanish. If you wanted to learn Spanish, you could have stayed home. You could have come to the Bronx and learned Spanish. But no, you went to Colombia. So anyway, about how I thought the history was cool. No, you didn't. Just stop. About how I was staying away from super touristy spots. Okay, let me explain that really quickly. The reason why passport bros stay away from tourists is because now you have to deal with American and Western men trying to get in on your action. That's what it comes down to. Because if you're the only guy there who's making $100,000 or $200,000 a year, and the rest of these people are making less than $10,000 a year, you stand out. But if you're around Americans and fucking British and Australians and all that shit, now you're dealing with all of these other foreign men who they themselves make, in some cases, just as much or more than you do. So now it's kind of like being at one of those Hollywood galas where everybody's a superstar. How do you shine on their sun? You can't, because they outshine you. So no, I totally understand. Furthermore, when you go to these countries, they see you coming, they change all of the prices to make it more expensive. They call it a skin tax. So basically, if you're a white man and you go to Philippines or you go to Thailand or everything, as soon as they see your white skin, they raise the price because they know you can afford it. Now, some people say this is racist. Some people will say it's discriminatory. It absolutely is discriminatory. Whether it's racist or not remains to be seen. So this is what you do. The smart thing to do is you get yourself a local girlfriend and you have her buy everything. You have her do the bargaining for you. When I was in China, had a beautiful Chinese girlfriend. When we go to like shopping, I have her do all the talking. In fact, I tried to test out my language skills and everything, and she was like, no, you be quiet, I'll handle this. And she said, she just told me just like that. Like, here I am. I'm like, oh, yes. Can I have, like in their language, I'm like, yeah, can I have, I'd like 5 or 6. She was like, no. You be quiet. I'll handle this, And to tell you the truth, I didn't feel threatened and I didn't feel less masculine having a woman say, excuse me, no. Well, listen, I'll deal with this. I'll handle the money. I'll handle your money. You just sit back, be quiet, watch me work, okay? I didn't even feel bothered by that. I'll never forget that happened, but it was like I didn't feel bothered by it. In fact, I thought it was really sexy. So that's what you're supposed to do. You get a foreign girl and you send her shopping with obviously your money, and she will get best prices on everything because she's one of them. If you go to a tourist spot, they raise all the fucking prices because they know that you're not them and you can afford it. So what I do is I usually shop in places where the tags are on everything. They can't just arbitrarily raise the price. And I always use my credit card when I can, because this way, I keep track of everything I purchase. Not only that, you also don't carry a lot of cash with you, because when you carry a lot of cash with you, you're setting yourself up to get robbed, or you're setting yourself up to get pickpocketed, or you're setting yourself up for the maid in your hotel room to steal your shit. Like when I go to Vietnam, I pretty much know that most of them people ain't going to try to do nothing, because if they got caught stealing from a tourist, their government might take their head off, because their government doesn't play. Like they have very strict rules down there in those places. Like, Singapore. Singapore, man, they ain't playing with your ass. When I was walking around Singapore as a damn near 6'7" black male, I never felt safer. Nobody would even think of robbing me. Like if I went to an ATM, nobody would even think of doing nothing. Because if Singapore got their hands on you, because they got cameras everywhere, if they get their hands on you and you rob a tourist, they're going to kill you. If you do any violence or anything like that, they cane people down there. If you're dealing with drugs and everything, you're trying to sell drugs to people or you're trying to drug a tourist, they execute you. I love countries like that. The only problem I had with Singapore is it's 95 degrees every day. I didn't like that too much, because in my hotel room, it was like 80 degrees. Even when I had the air conditioner way up, it was still like 80 degrees. Go up to the top of the place, the pool was warm. I mean, warm. It was like a sauna. You know how you dip your toe in the pool because it's cold and you're afraid to put your whole body? No. That water was like bath water. It was so hot. 95 degrees every day. And the water was like 70-something degrees, man. It was like warmer than body temperature. It was crazy. But over there, they don't play with you over there. Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand, they had signs. I took pictures of the signs. It said, drugs mean death. They don't play. It's not like America. Oh, I've got to blow up the Venezuelan drug boats because they're putting fentanyl on our streets. And millions of Americans are dying of fentanyl. And the Chinese are making fentanyl. Send it over here. Yeah, exactly. But he added, I honestly find passport bros detestable, you fucking scumbag. Okay, so you're all right. This guy obviously is not a passport bro. First of all, you're a loser. You ain't over there for no goddamn Colombian history. You could have learned that right here, because I'm sure they have a class for it. You're over there looking for Colombian butt cheeks and saying, it's like also coworkers and friends say, oh, you going to meet someone there. Damn right I am. You think I'm over here to learn?
When he brags about 7 inches, but, sir, I'm Filipina. That's a weapon to us. You won't survive the grip. Lower your voice.
Shit, I ain't over here to learn nothing. The traveler said he knows some of these comments are intended to be humorous, but he added, I honestly find passport bros detestable, and the whole movement is gross. Well, guess what? You're not one of us, and you never will be. So when them Colombian women drug your ass, and you wake up without a wallet and no passport and no way home, just remember that I made this video, loser. So anyway, due to the security issues, I may have made this decision anyway. However, constantly having to defend myself for wanting to go to this country that I thought was cool got kind of exhausting and definitely pushed me over the edge. I'd like to point out something. Didn't he say in the beginning that he was going over there because he thought the country was cool and he wanted to learn about the culture? Meanwhile, the only thing he's talked about is the fact that he's been on 2 dates. Didn't he just say that? Because it seems to me that instead of you being on 2 dates, you would have been talking about having enrolled in 2 classes in a Colombian university. But we all know the truth. Come on. Why lie about it? I'm not going there looking for no goddamn culture. Okay. When I say culture, I'm talking about sitting in a classroom learning Colombian history. I don't give a fuck about your history. Like, as far as I'm concerned, you could have been born yesterday as a country, and I don't care. I'm there for your food, and I'm there for your women, okay? It's just that simple. Just tell the truth. Why do people lie? There's no point in lying. Just tell the truth. Right? Doesn't that make more sense? I'm there for some bubble butt Colombian with an hourglass shape and small feet. That's what I'm there. Just say it. Just say it. Just tell the truth. I'm there. What? I don't even know anything about Colombian food. The only Colombian restaurants I've been to, we got one here called Punto Rojo. Their cheesecake is okay. They put like pork sausage in everything, and they have a lot of rice, and they use a lot of eggs. The food's okay, but they overfeed you. They give you a lot of food, though. I'll say that. But no, it's like after I wash this breakfast down, I'm looking for some bubble butt Colombian woman. I ain't going to no classroom to learn about 19th century Colombian architecture. I'm looking for a bubble butt. Same thing for Brazil. let me tell you something. I used to work at Best Buy. First time I think I seen some Brazilians. I got these 2 dark-skinned black women come in. And this was back in like 2003. And when I say bubble butt, I mean, I was like, wait a minute, them ain't black women. Where are they from? They from somewhere else. And then, the other thing, they had frizzy black hair. And it was like down to the small of their back. Like they had so much hair. Real hair. Not the shit you see on these women's heads nowadays. Not this colored, dyed blue and pink and purple hair like they are jellyfish, a toxic jellyfish. No. Man, I saw these Brazilian women. I'll never forget. That image is burned into my mind. And dark-skinned black Brazilians. And they had blue jeans on. Tight blue jeans. Hourglass figure. Ridiculous. And I was like, wait a minute. They ain't from here. Them's got to be tourists. You know what you down there for. Don't lie about it. The passport bros, they're detestable. They're supposed to be in these countries enrolled in class learning about 20th century Colombian architecture. Come on, man. Really? You clown. You're a clown. So anyway, what does it say? Look at this clown with his stupid selfie stick. I hope some of them Colombian drug lords pull up on you and take your safety stick. Your little camera selfie stick. I hope a big, solid gold Rolls Royce pulls up on you with Colombian drug lords in it. And I hope they take your selfie stick and your camera. I have solo traveled before, so that this is not a crazy thing for me to do. Have any of y'all experienced this before? Or maybe I just give off that you're a loser. Or maybe I just give off that vibe. And if I do give off the passport bro vibe, I think some introspection is needed. Many readers noted that they had a similar experience too. One wrote, "Here now, can confirm, got straight up accused of being a sex tourist." Oh my God. Another chimed in, "Despite having a son and being happily married, The number of comments and looks every time I mentioned I was going to Thailand was stupid. A third responded, passport broing has been a thing in East Asia and Europe for decades. That's what I've been saying. In fact, not decades, centuries. The image of the solo male traveler was already ruined decades ago by the East Asian and European escort prostitution seeking men. Okay, first of all, most of those men were probably seeking foreign wives. They used to call them mail order brides, but you can't do that anymore because now we have a very strict visa process called the K-1 visa process, 90-day fiancé visa process. So the way it works is if you meet a woman abroad, if you go and you're with her, you have to provide proof to the State Department that you physically know this woman. So that means that they can ask to see text records. They can ask to see photos of you two together. If you're even going to think of applying for a K-1 visa to get a wife from another country, you basically need to save up, let's say, about 100 photos of you and her over a period of time. You have to prove in the K-1 visa that you've been in her country within the last 120 days. And keep in mind, you're going to pay roughly $5,000 from beginning to end just to get this process complete. When they give her this K-1 visa, and because you got to pay for her to fly over here, so I'm including the ticket price too. So you're talking about $2,500 to $5,000. Anyway, if she flies over here, she has exactly 90 days from the moment they stamp her visa to marry you. She has 90 days. Otherwise, they will pack her shit right back up and send her right back to her country. So a 90-day fiancé visa means that she has 90 days to marry you from the time she lands here. You know, that show 90 Day Fiancé used to be a decent show, but then they got their hooks into it. The feminists got their hooks into it. And then what they started doing was they started putting the worst possible couples on that they could possibly put on. They turned it into an absolute joke. I used to watch the show. I stopped watching the show because I was like, wait a minute, this is bullshit. And it's feminist propaganda. So I was like, nah, I ain't gonna watch. So they had like some Ukrainian chick, Natalie Mordislova or whatever, and she was dating a white guy over here. And for whatever reason, he had decided that he didn't want to marry her. She ended up going back over there. So she still has her Instagram. I don't know where she is right now because chances are she might be here as a refugee since Vladimir Putin decided to light that place up. And he basically caused these Ukrainian women to be like 75% off fire sale.
Run to me, confess your love, I used to say.
How I Met My Black Boyfriend, Part 1. I came to Alaska from Ukraine and lived there for 6 months. I never thought I would end up in Alaska, but life happens. I was working at a fish factory where my job was to process fish all day. It was a very hard job, but also there was many Ukrainians, so I always had people to talk to. But among all of these familiar faces, I noticed one black guy. He was dark-skinned, very handsome, and different from everyone else. And yes, he was American. At first, we didn't talk at all. And we didn't even look at each other, but for some reason I kept paying attention to him. We had a mutual friend, and thanks to him, we slowly started talking. Then, one night changed our life. We all went to the party, we drank a little too much, and that made it easier to talk. So that night we finally had a real conversation. We was joking a lot and got to know each other better. And that was just the beginning. Stay tuned for part 2 and don't forget to subscribe because here I share my life as Ukrainian girl in United States and also about my relationship with black guy,
which I've talked about before. But long story short, mail order brides, I think, and by the way, mail order brides, that was something that white men were doing and white women were powerless to say anything about it. Now that you got the Me Too movement, you got these white women talking shit and they don't have any respect for white men whatsoever. The reality is now things like that are, they're calling these guys transport bros, basically. I've already explained that. They're called the transport bros because they transport hoes. So anyway, you can't do that no more. If you want a foreign wife, you can get a foreign wife. My recommendation is that you move to her country, you stay in her country, you live in her country for a while. After you have a family and you get to know their family, and then maybe you bring her here to meet your family. But we had a story not too long ago about some Kenyan chick who basically committed bride fraud, and she married a black dude here. And once she got her green card and all that, she left him. We want to make sure that things like that don't happen. So once again, these are my steps. You go to her country, especially if you're a passport bro, you get paid to do your work abroad because some of y'all have remote jobs. Go to her country. You marry her in her country. If you want to get married, you marry her in her country. Y'all raise your family. You have your children. When she is old and gray, maybe that's when you bring her back here. If you want to bring her back here, because maybe you want to stay over there. Because the reality is America ain't got much to talk about lately. America is $38 trillion in debt. Houses are unaffordable completely. You'll hear them saying this lie that the inventory is low. The inventory is not low. And you know what's funny? They said the same thing. And it's funny how I cross-reference things. They said the same thing about Hellcats and Dodge Charger V8s and Dodge Challenger V8s. The inventory wasn't low. Those cars were sitting on the lots. The inventory was not low. The problem is the cars were unaffordable. Once they raised interest rates in 2021, everything became very difficult to afford. Houses, you're talking about a 7%, 8% mortgage instead of 3%. My house that I'm in right now, because I have more than one house, this house right here, and I'm looking at my ceiling fan right now. I'm laying in bed looking at my ceiling fan. 3%. I have a 3% fixed mortgage, and during COVID, I dropped the term down to 15 years. So I'll be finished paying this place off very soon because I believe in paying my loans as quickly as possible. So I double my payments. But what you do is you take out a long-term loan so that this way, just in case you have a financial issue, you may not be able to double the payment that month. But you can. That's the whole point. You have the ability to do it. So anyway, I'm in my house right now, staring up at my ceiling fan and making this video. And the thing about it is, there's houses for sale in my area. There's houses for sale within 5 miles. There's a lot of houses for sale. But here's the problem. 700,000, 800,000, 900,000. I got my house for less than 300,000. I got my house for 299,000. And I put down a nice down payment on it too. 3% fixed mortgage. If you were to try to buy this same house right now, you're paying no less than 700,000, and you got a 6-7% fucking interest rate. That's unaffordable, because for the $2,000 a month, my mortgage, taxes, and insurance were $2,000 a month. Here in New York City, the average fucking apartment, $5,000 in Manhattan, $3,000 or $4,000 in Brooklyn, $2,000 or $3,000 in Queens. Nobody wants to live in the Bronx, so you can still find apartments there for like $1,000 a month. Nobody wants to live there. That's Section 8 welfare heaven over there. That place is scary just to drive through it. But anyway, what I'm saying is, unaffordability is the problem. America, it's funny, I'm watching these clowns like Scott Galloway, and they're trying to, why aren't the men dating? Why aren't the women having children at 20 and 30 or before 30? Because we don't want them after 30. Why aren't the women having their children early? Why is it that the men are committing suicide and they're avoiding relationships? Why are the men not taking these women on dates? Why aren't they doing? I'm like, asshole. It's because what did James Carville say? He said it's the economy, stupid. If people can't afford to do shit, they ain't gonna do it. I don't. If I could afford to buy an F-22 Raptor and have it in my backyard, I would have one. Now, I know some people are like, wait a minute, that's fucking crazy. I'm just saying, it's an affordability issue. If I could afford to go to Mars or go to the moon or some shit, I would do it. But I can't. Yeah, I don't have $3 trillion. I just don't have it. I'm working on it, but I don't have it. It's an affordability issue. They're saying restaurants are hurting because there are fewer people going to the restaurants. Yeah, that's because they can't afford to go to the restaurants. Not only that, but your waitress is expecting a big fat tip. So not only do I because when I was in college, I used to take my girlfriend and we'd go to Applebee's or we go to TGI Friday. She never challenged me. Oh, why aren't you taking me to a steak restaurant? Never, not even once. We would go out Thursday, Wednesday, Friday, a lot of Fridays, and we go and have a 2 for $20. Applebee's had the 2 for $20. I don't even know if they still have that. TGI Fridays, they had their 2 for $20. I liked TGI Fridays food a little bit better. My girlfriend never challenged me about, oh, why aren't you taking me to Ruth Chris? No, that's some shit you get now, and these women are demanding that for a first date. They're like, oh yeah, well, if you're a brokey, don't even bother trying to talk to me unless you're taking me out for a $200 dinner and you're promising to pay my bills. And then a lot of these women have some other dude's kids. Oh yeah, you got to pay for babysitting, and you got to pay for my nails and my hair. It's like, what? Fuck that. I'm going to stay home and I'm going to play Call of Duty Black Ops 8, and I'm going to play Battlefield 7, and then I'm going to wait for Grand Theft Auto 6, and if it really comes down to it, I'll jack off to some porn. That's what these dudes are saying, and Scott Galloway's upset, and he doesn't understand why. I'm like, well, yeah, because they can't afford to go out. They can't afford it. Now, you could make the argument that they should all have jobs, but the school industrial complex is trying to do with young men exactly what it's done with young women. It's trying to basically put them deep into debt, and it's trying to make them, how should I say, subservient and dependent on their parents. I started working when I was 17. As soon as I got my working papers, I'm across the street from my high school at a mobile mart. I got that stupid mobile mart uniform. I got the blue pants. I got the blue shirt. I had that stupid red tie on, a red and blue tie. And you know what's funny? Even when the kids from my high school would get out and they would see me working, I'd be out there sweeping. I'd be out there, and I there's no shame in my game. I'd be out there sweeping, helping old ladies with the pump, working the cash register. And nobody ever laughed at me. None of them ever laughed at me. But you know what was funny? I was 17, making some money. I was making $7.50 an hour. I had nicer clothes. Like back then, we all wore Timberland boots and stuff. I had fresh Timbs on all the time. $100 boots. I had Coogee. I had Sean John. I had Rockaway. I still got a lot of those clothes in my closet right now. I can't fit because I'm older now. But none of the kids laughed at me. I worked. In fact, there was a girl at my school who I didn't know her very well, and she decided to come across the street and she decided to apply for a job. She got a job working there. And, we were working there and, serving slushies and shit. You know what a mobile mart looks like. Nobody ever laughed at me, and I didn't even care if they did. And I worked, and it made me a better manager of money. These young kids, these young boys, a lot of these motherfuckers laying up in the bed, half naked, on the video game screaming at each other and shit. And now they've got AI. So if you start talking shit to another kid on the AI, they can cut your shit right off. Your mic gets cut off. You get banned. That's happened to me with Counter-Strike 2 a couple of times. No, actually, it happened to me with Counter-Strike a couple of times. With Counter-Strike 2, I don't think they have the AI to ban you if you're talking shit unless somebody reports you, because I haven't gotten banned lately. And to tell you the truth, I've started talking less shit because, to tell you the truth, I get bored with these people. Nobody uses their microphones anymore. But long story short, Scott Galloway's trying to figure out why these boys are like this, and I'm telling you why. I don't need a fucking survey. I don't need a PhD to tell you why. All you got to do is take a seat and just watch these young men. Watch these young women, and you see why. You don't even need a freaking study. But that's it. This Passport Joe with this selfie stick. I'm looking at this dude. I'm like, this dude's a loser. You look like Bob Vila, only you can't paint. Oh yeah, I'm in Colombia, and I'm trying to learn about the culture. I've been on some dates, but I didn't join a Colombian university. I'm not learning about their architecture. I'm not learning about their actual history or anything. I'm not in a Colombian history class. And the Passport Bros are detestable. This guy's a joke. You know what he is? This is how you get Nick Fuentes. You get these young white males who are angry at life, who they can't get the women they want. And now they're getting fingers pointed at them. People call them predators and traffickers and all this. And they're just mad, and then they're pointing their fingers at everybody they could point their fingers at. And you went to possibly the worst possible place you could go to. One of them women is going to slip something in your drink. And if you wake up, you're not even going to know where your wallet is. And your passport's going to be gone. And you're just going to be still pointing fingers and blaming everybody because the women here didn't want you. In fact, judging from, I don't think this dude's very tall. I think these women said 6 feet tall, and they said, yeah, what did the women say? They said, if you're a short king, you might as well just kill yourself or something like that. That's what they said this. They're on TikTok raising hell, and nobody's stopping them because the moment they try to ban TikTok, Donald Trump turns the shit right back on. 2 hours later. They say, yeah, if you're short and a brokey, they're not interested in you. There's no reason for this dude to be in Colombia. There's no reason at all. But you know why you're in Colombia. You're looking for that Colombian bubble butt. So stop lying. Stop trying to, oh yeah, well, I'm here because I'm looking for Colombian history class. Which way is the Colombian professor so I can sit down and learn about Colombian history class? Come on, man. Just stop. Just stop it. Just stop. The Passport Bros are black men, and they're looking for relationships abroad because America has ruined women. American culture has ruined women. Men have children so that they can procreate. Men have children so that they can reproduce their culture. Men have children so that they can perpetuate their culture. Here's the problem. Here's the secret to you PhD morons. This culture isn't worth perpetuating. It's okay for these young men to look out and see other cultures, Chinese, Japanese, South Koreans, Thai, Colombians, Brazilian. It's okay for them to look out and see these other cultures and say, you know what? Those people are kind of cool. I'd like to be like those people. How do I get to be like those people? It's okay. It's like all these white male power fantasies that you see in the movie theaters. You see Avatar. What was that about? It was about a white male going over to this blue planet of blue fucking cat monkeys. And what does he do? It's always the same thing. He conquers the unconquerable beast. In Avatar, it was Taruk Maktal, I believe. Then he gets the approval of the tribe. Dances with Wolves. Same shit. Didn't Dances with Wolves? He had to dance with the wolves. And he had to, because I saw the movie, I just don't remember it. And then he had to get now there was a white girl in the movie, and she was a tribal, I don't know how, but the tribe found this white girl and taught her to speak Navajo or whatever it was. So he, of course, he gets with her, right? What was that last movie? Dune. Another white male power fantasy. What does he do? He goes over there to the planet of the dust, the sand, conquers the giant sandworm. And when they say, listen, so your test in order to get into the tribe is to conquer the giant sandworm, right? What does he do? He attracts the biggest, most giant sandworm ever that nobody has ever seen before. I forget what the worm's name was. And he rides the sandworm. He's got 2 hooks, and he's riding the sandworm. And he conquers the sandworm. So he gets, what is her name? Janaya or something? Janaya. And she's the tribe girl. So he gets the tribe girl. You see where I'm going with this? Every single one of these freaking movies is a white male power fantasy. And it has trained young men to see themselves as the hero that goes over to the other place, gets the tribe to accept him. He conquers the unconquerable beast. Look at Predator Badlands. Predator Badlands, perfect example. Deck. The Predators have names now. Deck. He goes to the planet Jenna that kills everything. It's a planet of death. It kills everything. What does he do? Conquers the unconquerable, what is it called? The Kalisk. Got the white woman on his back. Half her body is cut off. Conquers the unconquerable beast. Why was he doing this? Because his tribe wouldn't accept him. Goes back, kills his father, Najor, that's his name in the movie, and then gets the acceptance of the tribe because he conquered the unconquerable beast, the Kalisk, with the help of the white woman on his back. Do you understand where I'm going with this? Y'all have been programming these fucking kids. Even me. You got me too. Y'all been programming these kids for decades. Now that you try to change the program, they're losing their fucking minds. Now what's the program? The program is Star Wars. Daisy Ryder, whatever the hell her name is. She picks up the lightsaber, has never picked up a lightsaber before. Hey, look over there. There's Kylo Ren. He's the Lord of the Sith. He knows how to cut you down with that lightsaber in seconds, right? He has the ability to force throw people into the fucking ceiling. Daisy, the white girl, picks up this lightsaber, goes over there, chops this dude down. Chops him down. He knows the Force better than she does. He reaches to grab the lightsaber. She reaches to grab the lightsaber. Who does it go to? It goes to her. How does that happen? Because all of the Jedi were on her side? But guess what? She wasn't a Jedi. She was a Palpatine, according to the last movie. Her grandfather's Palpatine shooting lightning from his fucking fingers. And at the end of the movie, she tries to lie and say, yeah, my name's Skywalker. No, it's not. You're Palpatine. Do you see where I'm going with this? Look at these women. Women are the Ghostbusters now. Women pick up the protein packs. Women are going after the ghosts and shooting up and killing all the ghosts. What they got the women doing now? What is it? What was the last movie I saw? What was it? What was that movie? Before Predator, I saw something. What was it? James Bond. James Bond used to be the big, tough white man. He could kill everybody. James Bond took down everybody. Took down Goldfinger, Goldmember, whatever it was. Took down everybody. James Bond had a little pistol with a silencer. Took down everybody. Got all the women. Look at the last James Bond movie. They killed James Bond off. Killed him. His daughter succeeds him, whatever. His daughter comes out. He got a daughter. James Bond could have had a son. Didn't have a son. No. We got a daughter. His wife, he never got married from what I remember. Got her pregnant. She didn't tell him about it. Next thing you know, he finds out he has a daughter. And he gives his life to save his daughter. And his daughter lives, he dies. Look what they've done. You program these kids forever. And now you're trying to change the program, and you can't do it. You can't do it. They're losing their minds. So when you took out the disc from slot A and you inserted a new disc into slot A, and now this kid is going crazy, picks up an AR-15 and goes and starts taking people out left and right indiscriminately. You'll program these kids. You've tried to change the program, and now it's being rejected. The program is being rejected. I don't need a PhD to figure that out. I don't. I'm sorry. I just don't. I'm sorry. Every single one of these. What was the last movie they were complaining about? What was it? John Wick. John Wick, super tough guy, killing up everybody. Killed the whole high table. Oh no, we got a new movie called The Ballerina. We got this little girl. This little girl is blowing up people with grenades and shooting them dead. And the little girl is growing up to be a sexy teenage woman, super killer. She goes up against John Wick. John Wick, fortunately, they didn't mess that up. He whipped her ass and could have killed her, but he was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Okay, can't you just let me get revenge for my daddy, what they did to my daddy? And he's like, okay, you know what? You've got 24 hours to get revenge, and, I'm going back to do my thing. I'm going to go kill up the high table. You see what I'm talking about? This is what they've done. They call it female empowerment. What you've done is you've turned these kids into nuts. You've turned them psychotic. Like, you call it female empowerment. You've turned them crazy. So anyway, I could go on and on about this shit for years because they've given me enough ammunition where I can literally unload. But no, I'm just going to stop it here. This dude's a loser. This dude, I hope some Colombian drug lords in a solid gold Escalade pull up, take your selfie stick, and then dare you to do something about it. That's what I hope. Or I'm probably going to read about you. Your family was right to worry about you because you look like you can't fight. You're going to end up in one of them Colombian hotels, and the scopolamine smell is going to be like, thick in the air, and you already know the rest.
Pulling out, licking it, and putting it back in will always be the best way to eat Oreos.
Now, transgender woman's milk is just as good for babies as breast milk. That's according to a letter from the medical director at University Hospital Sussex NHS Foundation Trust. The claim was made as part of a response against campaign groups. The trust referred to studies and the World Health Organization guidance, including one case which found what it called no observable effects in babies fed by induced lactation.
All right, now say sorry.
Sorry, Mom. Yeah, say it like you mean it.
Shh, she talking right now.
Sorry, Mom.
No, that's better than our kids.
Meet my first Hispanic girlfriend, the life-size plush doll that's so cuddly.
She smells like chili lime.
She comes with her own bag of hot Cheetos and a cold can of beer to share. Big plush.
The visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration, because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people
no, you
here.
don't. No, you don't.
To be continued.